Hello everyone, Life Review here, and a new video about Interspecies Reviewer being banned on Funimation. I think it's hilarious. This is my new shirt here. I think it's perfect for this topic, right? So, if you didn't know, Interspecies Reviewer or Ishuzoku Reviewers, which is the best anime this season, by far the best anime this season, which is about, I guess like two guys, a futa and random friends like halfling or kobold or something like a beastman go around and have intercourse with different species, right? Like, harpies or like hyenas, obviously the best part of futanari hyena, fairies. They haven't gotten to demon girls yet. So anyway, this anime is very, very raunchy then. It's a very, very raunchy anime. It is very much borderline hentai, but not really. And let's talk about it first. It really isn't that hentai anime because there is no actual penetration. I think that's kind of the main thing. It definitely kind of comes off more as one of those classic hustler playboy stuff where it's like, okay, it's kind of sexy, but it's not really poor. Yeah, but it's not really going into that category, right? To have some like boobs, titties, yeah, at best. And this is talking about still the uncensored version. Censored version is very censored, and you can't see anything, and even blacking out last episode, so you couldn't see anything at all. That being said, though, definitely is on the line, right? And here's the quote with Funimation. Funimation then was dubbing it, which I think is hilarious. They dubbed and the simulcast, and it seems because it's today then it's been revoked. Yeah, it seems that they basically, and I'm guessing here, but it seems how it is. Like they didn't have any idea what they were doing, right? They have no idea what the anime was about. So they were like, yeah, let's take the people in here. And then they were like, what we're dubbing a sex scene? Something, right? And the voices were like, I have to say this line? Like, are you sure? Yeah. That's probably what happened. Like they just, both for anything is popular, throw it in there, and because a lot of dubbing is done, I would say a lot of dubbing is done like 1 day before. Yeah, like they get someone, you come in here and dub it, and yeah, it's like the day before it's airing. This person has no idea, right? So probably my guess is it probably was some controversy. People were angry and so on, probably whining about the anime to them. But I think primarily, actually, probably the people who work with it were like, wait, what am I doing here? Isn't this like a hentai? Yeah, that's probably what happened. And they were like, hey, wait a minute. So it's kind of a funny general issue there, right? They probably didn't even know what it was about, probably didn't know what was happening with it. And that was happening now then, and this video here and so on. But I don't think it's entertaining though. I think it's generally, I'm surprised they even dubbed it and subbed it to begin with, right? But obviously they just probably didn't know what it was about, right? So they were like, yeah, let's buy it. And I was like, whoa, it's about that, yeah. But it's kind of funny because now they're acting like it never existed, right? So I think that's hilarious. But you look at the company, they're basically pretending that they never had the anime. Like one of the comments, I removed it because of reasons. We didn't follow our stern view on it and so on. And then just kind of like just hide it away somewhere like they had never had it to begin with. So that's a one funny thing, right? How the company, as always, unfortunately, companies never really man up and say, yep, we did something wrong, or no, this anime is hentai, we can't have it. It's just kind of like, doesn't follow, and then and ignore everything and no answer the comments, all right. So that's one thing, but it's also primarily hilarious because the double standards, I suppose you can call it, as they have a lot of other animes on their on the network. For example, I'm pretty sure they have High School D&D. I think they have Monster Musume. High School D&D, I know they have. And other ecchi animes. If you're unaware though, those animes are also very ecchi. And actually, High School X D&D is, I would argue, more nakedness than this anime actually, than in Interspecies Reviewers. It's more, boobs and naked ladies and so on. Yeah, more. Yeah, I would say it's more, especially the uncensored version, where this is, yeah. I would argue so. The difference I feel here, from my perspective, is that Interspecies Reviewers, episode 3 was very raunchy. Okay, it was very raunchy. Episode 1 and 2, definitely less ecchi actually than many other animes on Funimation as well, and other channels. So the problem I think that they have in Interspecies Reviewers, or maybe people have for the angry hate and so on, is probably because it's just the kind of the topic itself. Yeah, I think that's a thing, but actually isn't that graphical. So let me try to explain this. If you haven't seen the anime, or kind of the controversy, it's kind of interesting, I think, in that sense, because it's like Interspecies Reviewers, at least episode 1 and 2. Episode 3, I will say definitely probably much more ecchi than usually is. But episode 1 and 2 they're more talking about it, right? They're reviewing how it is to do it with this race. So they're like, oh, let's go here and have like sex with a hyena girl. She has a big penis, so that's interesting. And they kind of, explain that. Yeah, like for example then, so, hyenas in real life, right? This is one of my things. But hyenas have, the female hyena also have a pseudo penis, like straight up, yeah. They have like a huge member. It's bigger than the males too, so it's very classic anime hentai futanari stuff because it's bigger than the man. I mean, they actually are, like they're bigger, and the female in general is bigger, so they actually, like the hyena female is the alpha, so to speak. She's the one in control. The men are just kind of, yeah. So they're very, very aggressive and so on. So it's like the perfect, futanari, then, the hermaphrodite, right? The gender, both genders person, yeah. So hyena from episode 3, that's the perfect, like, if you're gonna have a half human, half something, a half human, half hyena, or like, anthropomorphous hyena, they would absolutely have like a huge dong, right? In typical anime or hen fashion, right? So it makes sense. And they're mainly discussing that. That scene is shown a little bit, like not actual penetration, her and Cream then, English futanari, at that time, futanari, but it's not actual sex. It's more like discussing that. They're kind of like, did you know hyenas are huge? Yeah, it's more like that, right? The joke is that she calls in for the huge, massive hyena girl, and the other characters are then explained by this, an elf Lorna, yeah. And Lorna then explains to the other characters, which at this moment are females, that hyenas, they're big, like they're all of them are huge. Not only do they have penises, they're massive, that they're 10 times the male size. They're like, what? You're like, yeah, they're famous for their massive member. Yeah, like that's kind of the joke, right? And yeah, they don't show it. They actually never actually show that scene, but they're joking about that hyenas, of course, again, then are massive, and that's how it is actually in reality. They are bigger than the men and so on. And then, of course, it's like a joke that Cream purposely, selected the species with the biggest penis, right? And they're like, wow, she likes it big. And I thought she was a guy because Cream has also her own penis, but she's a futanari as well. So I was like, but isn't Cream a guy? She likes big, yeah, it's weird. And everyone was like wondering about her, what she likes and so on. So I mean, there's some jokes there's some parodies and so on, right? And that's kind of is generally this anime, yeah, and they don't really show it that much. And again, I think there are definitely animes on Funimation that are much more graphically actual. But the big issue, right, and also I feel the issue with those animes is that those animes are very kind of, juvenile ecchi, right? It's kind of like you're walking, you see the girl next door naked, and it's like, oh no, she's naked, and actually it's more revealing, so to speak, than this anime, more revealing, but it's more on that kind of boring, it's like, she's naked, and yeah, it's more on that level, right? They don't really go into actual talking about having sex or so on. It's just kind of like that kind of like the voyeurism view of it, right? And I think that, in my opinion, is the difference here between this anime and many of the other ecchi animes, because many of those, again, are more specific, more showing. At least episode 1 and 2, definitely. And episode 3, I feel, is a little more, was very different than the other 2 episodes in Interspecies Reviewers. Now, I haven't seen more of it, so maybe episode 4 is going to be even worse. Maybe I'm wrong then. But I think episode 3 is like one of the most specific ones, because they turned all the characters into females. So they kind of made an extra joke then, that now it's extra sexy, because they're all girls, and they really want it now. They're extra horny now, so yeah, so it's like a joke about that, right? So it's a little gender band joke, so on. But I mean, generally, Interspecies Reviewers then, it's more that they have these topics, I would say that. The topic is much more, graphical. Not graphical actually as in graphical showing in the anime, but the topic itself is much more mature, right? They're straight up saying that I want to do that one, or he has a small one, or her boobs are massive, and this and this. They're very like they have this minotaur scene, and they're like, oh, you can milk them, and it's very lukewarm. You don't really see it, but it's like, they're talking about like the different milk tastes. It's quite, again, it's a very, very raunchy, the perverted jokes, right? But it's not really actually showing them doing that. It's discussing doing it, right? So it definitely is very different from its other ecchi animes, or they might be much more in your face. And actually, I think one thing that this anime does very differently is that while it has some very graphical scenes, very graphical, but the variety of graphical scenes, most of the episode, including episode 3, is actually not that much of it. And what I mean by that is that it's from a timer perspective, right? How much minute actually in per episode is just like, oh, ecchi, oh, look at that, a naked girl, and, not that much actually. You can find a lot of other animes, again on Funimation, which are a lot more ecchi, like ecchi, it's like 20-minute ecchi fan service, panty shots, and it's a lot more animes on Funimation, which like, especially animes OVAs, which are usually much more fan servicey, less censored, right, so on. You can find a lot of OVAs and stuff like that, or other animes they have on their, connected to, that they have last for and so on, which are much more fan servicey, much more, like it's straight up constant 20 minutes fan service. Like for example, latest episode of Danmansai OVA was out this Wednesday, I think, the Danmansai beach episode. It's basically like a 20-minute constant, panty shot, bra, fan service, and the ass of like Hestia. Constantly, right? Not saying it's bad, I think it's great, but I mean, the point is that is so much more ecchi in a sense. It's constantly has this leaf uniform on her or leaf bra thing. You constantly see her like ass hanging out, her ass crack, and it's just ridiculous. Much more, like, again, that episode is basically actually it's a long episode, 25 minutes of constant half-naked girls, constantly doing stuff, and constantly dropping off the stuff and so on, and dropping off the pantsuit and so on, it's constant fan service, right, ecchi and so on, much more worse than this anime. This anime is like 5 minutes at max, this episode, ecchi, and there's like 15 minutes discussing it, right, there's 15 minutes discussing it, like reading a book, right, and then there's like a few minutes of, a little raunchy, right. So in that sense, I think it's interesting too, because this anime really isn't that ecchi, not per minute list. Why I do have to say, of course, when they do into that stuff, it might get a little more graphical. That is true. It might be more graphical when they actually show stuff. That is true. But mostly it's just like kind of them discussing and joking about, right? Where again, than other animes on Funimation and so on, or big animes have a lot more fan service or actioniness or whatever, right? In one episode, can have, depends on what episode it's, of course. So it really kind of gives back to the question again. Then this anime, yes, it's some of the scenes, especially episode 3, truly are very on the borderline. But I think it's much more about that they use much more direct with it, right? Where we have so many animes where the character running around, they're not actually doing anything, and they're kind of talking about, oh, I want to have like a girlfriend and maybe get laid, and but don't really get into details, right? And you just kind of just have that for the whole season, and nothing really happens. This anime is like, I want to F that woman, she's a great ass. Yeah, it's like, this anime is much more explicit, right? Very much more explicit. Exactly saying what it is. I think that's a big difference here. Why it's just kind of like not okay then, apparently. But of course it's kind of silly. Of course it should be okay. It's freedom of speech and so on. Yeah, but I think it's silly, right? But I think that's like the main issue. And I can see it again then from, well, I read a little bit and heard a little bit from the rumor mill. That's like, the voice actors had no idea what they can do, right? They come in the day before and they're like, or the same day, and they're like, what's happened to this thing? Because they have to, read the lines, right? So there's more like, while nothing is actually animated, they have to be like, I wanna F this big Minotaur's ass. They're like, oh, I can't say this. Yes, I think that is definitely coming back to that thing again. That seems very like a big issue there. Production side, they're like, oh shit, we can't put up this thing. They didn't want to do it anymore. Yeah, that's one thing, right? Because they have to read the lines, even if it's not showing on the screen. So that's a big issue. Otherwise, I think it's kind of fun. But 1 year ago, we had the Shield Hero controversy. Shield Hero was very, very hated, right? And they had a lot of complaints about two companies, the different companies that were airing it in America. They never removed it, right? This anime hurts the complaints even before it aired, so of course. But I'll say the comparable controversy with this anime to Shield Hero. Shield Hero had like 10 times more hate, okay? At least. It was incredibly hated. Always, for obvious reasons. And yeah, I'm just like, man, they removed this anime, but they didn't remove Shield Hero or Crunchyroll, I guess, was the main topic for Chihiro more than Funimation, though. Sorry for that. But still, though, like Crunchyroll, Funimation is the dub, right? And, yeah. But still, though, it's like it's kind of funny that like some topics that you're willing to defend, and some more you aren't. But anyway, I think one thing is funny too. In the last, they also have, so I can find it here. There's someone done a petition. I think that's funny. Funimation must return specific reviewers. I think it's hilarious because they have Ben Shapiro as probably a fake, of course, with the same name as him. But I think it makes it even funnier that like Ben Shapiro, like, you know, freedom, gotta give us back our Interspecies Reviewer. Yeah, I think that would be hilarious. So hopefully a little more people do video about it as well. I think it's generally funny. I think it's generally funny that they went out and banned it. Yeah, it's just hilarious in a sense. And how they're hiding it. They're kind of like, we never had that anime. No, you never saw that. It's like, I mean, they never really explain why, right? The company never do that. It's like, well, maybe a little wrong, and you can hide it. But anyway, I think it's an interesting controversy in that sense, right? It is, again, episode 3, that was graphical. Otherwise, episode 1 and 2, I would say, very little graphical compared to other animes that they have in Funimation. And it really comes back to, like, I think that they're so explicitly talking about it. It's much more than this. With the other animes are more juvenile, right? It's like, oh, I wanna kind of do my neighbor girl, she's kind of cute, and not really explaining, you know, we're like in Dumble is kind of like, oh, I wanna do this muscular hot guys. It's kind of like that, and nothing more, right? And then you say that, and they know in details. Where in this anime, it's like, oh, I would really wanna do that big, and I wanna have this position, and they really cover like the actual detail what they wanna do, right? And that's the difference, yeah. But it still is like a freaking text-based thing primarily. And especially I think it's interesting in the sense that even episode 3, which had much more graphical scenes, is still very little of it, and they have the censoring it, and it's mainly them talking about it, joking about it. It's not that much time actually that are spent on the actual scenes, so the last bit of every episode, and before that they usually have jokes, right? So it's an interesting take on it. But it's an interesting anime. It definitely covers kind of the basis of on the borderline there of what is hentai, what is ecchi, and so on. I feel like the typical thing, kind of like a porn too, is like penetration. If you don't have penetration, it's not actually sex. It's kind of like, yeah, I kind of feel it's, you know, borderlining on that. But from a perspective though, it's still kind of, you know, it's weird, right? They should have known, but before. I still think it's funny that they're paid for it, they're hired for it, and they claim they're respecting the source, like the actual, you know, original author. It's like, how are you expecting them? You bought the license and then refuse to air their stuff. Rather have, that's weird, right? So they ruin it in that sense. Hopefully they can, you know, sell the license to someone else, right? But that's kind of weird too, right? They kind of like they bought the license and then they're holding the license and then ruining it for people that both enjoy it and also people that actually produce it, right? So it's a very weird take on it, and it's just incompetence, right? I guess it's the main thing as well. They don't really know what they're doing as commonly know. So it's a lot of topics here. But this happened today. News is out today. We're gonna maybe do an update video if you have more information about it. Maybe do some actual, if they actually talk about it more, you know, or say what's going to happen, if someone's going to buy it. So, but I think they're just going to ignore. I think completely they bought the license, probably won't air it, and they just never going to talk about it. I think they will completely ignore any comment, any Twitter comment, mail, whatever. They're going to ignore that. I guess completely ignore it. That's never happened, and we probably never get any new information unless the studio is actually producing it or the author and so on. Start talking about that could be one thing. If from the other side, from the Japanese people, they might say like, actually, yeah, they might go out and say something. So anyway, that's it for this video. Please subscribe to the channel. And yeah, you know what, you know me, I like some controversy, some controversy. So anyway, see you guys and have a great day.